Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, whatever part of the world you're currently listening to our Basic Economics podcast on Spotify, as well as our video blog on YouTube, Face Economics TV video blog. My name is Al Mina. I'm the concept author of Face Economics, the utilization of the social media platform in economic development worldwide. So my background is in emerging and frontier markets of Central and Eastern Europe. I help develop capacity and also trade, commercial, as well as overall economic, you know, development initiatives in countries that are on their way to increasing capacity economically. I've worked for, politicians back in the States when, in my earlier days. I've advise, both sides of the aisle in terms of politics, Democrats and Republicans, lobbied both sides of the aisle as well, and on Capitol Hill as well as state government. So I myself have run for office as an independent U.S. Senate candidate in the 2020 general election, and so um, my background is heavy on economic development, heavy on, you know, increasing productivity and trade commercial relationships between the US and other countries, specifically in Central and Eastern Europe. So I've been doing that for many years, several years throughout my career. And all about, lifting all boats economically. What that basically means is that, I want to help every single person on this planet advance, economically and be, a productive member of society and support economic growth and stimulate economic, vibrancies in various countries throughout Central and Eastern Europe. That said, I don't typically do these kinds of investigative journalism per se, because most of what I try to pay attention to is in economic development, and trade, using the social media platform. But one thing that really, sparked my interest regarding Mr. Gonzalo Lira's case is the overall, disjointed, information or disinformation that are being shared throughout social media platform, and some of the information that are relevant for people, for the public to know, and for the court of public opinion to, render a verdict on. It's not, widely distributed, or it's so difficult to access. And I definitely would like to provide some sort of an assistance regarding understanding the overall situation with, Mr. Lear's case. What were his incentives? Why did he decide to share what he shared with the public? His background is in journalism. Want to kind of reflect on some of his attitude, motivation, and overall capacity to render credible and worthwhile material for people to listen to and appreciate the value of. So, me as a consultant to decision makers, I try to key in on important, relevant material to provide an optimum, tool for decision makers to make a decision on. And I do that in every executive level engagement that I participate in, may it be in, business or government, or even, within the nonprofit sector. So I just kind of want to, give you guys some sort of a flavor of what I've come across regarding Mr. Lear's case and this whole issue with, Ukraine and Russia, and why it escalated to the point that it is today. So, 2 years on, and an ongoing conflict in the region that I believe could have been prevented had, calm and logical minds were involved in the decision-making process. That's just me talking as someone that advised, executives throughout my career in government and in business. I started doing this way a long, long time ago, over 20 years ago when I was still back in college. So I understand certain, conditions that would uh, render a worthwhile, um, solution to a pre-existing condition. With that said, I'm going to showcase some videos that I've come across on YouTube. I apologize if some of the advertising would show up on these videos because some of them are connected to some sort of marketing platform. But as you all know, the social media platform has never been around ever in human history, never been utilized, and very few people really know what to do with it up until now. We're all basically, test driving the social media platform. Luckily, there is a way for us now to review certain information that wouldn't be so accessible or easily, viewed for a regular person or the general public to get access to. So luckily, we have those, and please just bear with me. I'm going to show you some material on the social media platform that I managed to come across as I investigate the overall situation regarding the war in Ukraine, the narrative regarding the war, and why Mr. Gonzalo Lira opted to share some of his thoughts and his views regarding his personal assessment, because he is located in Ukraine and have had many years experience operating in the country. He's somewhat of a subject matter expert regarding the overall condition, market condition, social condition, political condition in the country, and the overall managerial capacity of the decision makers in both local and national government of Ukraine, based on his off of his journalistic training as well as his experience working and living in Ukraine. So with that said, let me share my screen with you guys. I'm gonna kind of walk you through some of these videos. I'm not gonna play every single one of them because they'll take longer than I intend to talk about some of these talking points. But I just want you guys to reflect on what's being said and the overall environment where those narratives are being expressed. Why certain words and certain, judgment heuristics has been deployed by the authors of these, videos. You're gonna hear from, Mr. Gonzalo Lira, from a former, also from a former Ukrainian parliamentarian. You're also gonna hear some excerpts from Mr. Zelensky's address to the United Nations, his interview with a British, British broadcasting station. And I'm going to let you guys make that decision, okay? I'm also going to share with you a testimony um, of Mr. Gonzalo Lira's father. Once, after he had found out that his son had perished in Ukraine, and the overall condition that they were basically um, faced with in recovering the remains of his son, as well as what the government of Ukraine have told Mr. Lira's, I believe, partner or wife. So with that said, please stay put. Again, I apologize if if some of these videos would have these advertising material pop up, because this is just how YouTube is set up, unfortunately. And I'm just getting all this information off of YouTube and other social media platform that's widely available. So it's a public information. It's within the public domain. So we're not, sharing anything that isn't readily available online, where you guys can, listen and pause the video, forward it, or whatever, um, for your, you know, um, overall satisfaction. So you need to do your research yourself, and connect the dots yourself. I'm just basically pointing some of these things out, because there's been so much, disjointed information that are being shared, basically tossed around online, and it's hard to do, make a valid assessment on what's being said, because most of what's being said are off of opinions, not credible material from the source. So I wanted to make sure that I share, material that came out of the horse's mouth. I want to make sure that, um, the way that I've assessed the material is basically, you know, the fact, the factual interpretation of the author. Okay, folks, thank you for listening and watching. And if you're listening to our podcast and not able to view the video, feel free to visit our Face Economics TV video channel. And so you can listen and also view the material that I'm going to be sharing with you guys regarding the war in Ukraine and the overall escalation, and why now an American citizen, a Hispanic American citizen, is now dead for basically providing a review for, about stuff that was already regularly available online. He was just basically piggybacking off of what was said online already. So I don't know why he ended up, going through all that crap that he had to deal with, uh, since he just shared information that was already widely known and is commonly known, and there was no one that can dispute the facts that he had, shared. So with that said, I'm going to start off with Mr. Gonzalo Lira's testimony. So let's put it up here. It's going to load up shortly here. Again, I apologize. It just, I'm basically fishing all these out from the source. So just bear with me. I'm going to try to walk you through it. But, I don't want to give you the wrong information. So we're going to try to deal with this case factually, off of what is being said by the author. Okay, folks. So there's quite a bit of disjointed
Defense Politics Asia, which is
information.
A channel, just put out a video called Niger.
So let me forward this to the reason why Mr. Gonzalo Lira posted, what he posted. Okay, here you go.
Insofar as the Ukraine and Russia conflict is concerned, and perhaps I did not emphasize this enough in my videos, but the purpose of my videos was to point out how horrifying the war was, how detrimental to the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian nation it was, and the only solution was to find a peace settlement of some sort, of any sort, to prevent the complete destruction of the Ukrainian nation and the Ukrainian people. Well, that happened. About a third of the population of Ukraine has left the country. 20% of it is controlled and will be annexed by the Russians. And there's no doubt in my mind that they intend to capture much more territory of the Ukrainian nation, probably up to the Dnieper River, and take everything east of it. And that will include Odessa, of course. And Ukraine will be broken. It's inevitable at this point, unfortunately. But anyway.
Okay, so he wanted peace. He wanted for the war to end, and he wanted a way for the decision makers to basically diplomatically, solve this issue, okay, between Russia and Ukraine. Let's hear what else he's got to say.
The point that I wanted to make is that last year I was detained. I was investigated to see if I was a Russian agent. They realized I wasn't. And I was let go. But I was told in no uncertain terms that I could not leave the city or the country while my case was investigated. And me being a very...
Okay, so this is when it all started. You know, he posted this video last year, but he was actually picked up and was charged for his views and for the material that he shared on his social media platform in 2022. So let's move on to the next material. Again, I apologize. All these videos are popping up on YouTube because they're all connected to a lot of, you know, marketing stuff that is associated to, you know, these YouTube channels. Apologize again. We're not promoting anyone or any, you know, advertising that's coming up on this video. I just want to make sure that I emphasize that we're not using any of these marketing material for these companies or is associated to these companies. We're just trying to load up the videos, and so I apologize. But here you go. The debriefing that took place last year regarding Gonzalo Lira's case, off of what the State Department had commented on, or basically failed to comment on, I guess. So,
gray zone. So back in May, I asked you about Gonzalo Lira. He was the U.S. citizen arrested in Ukraine for posting dissident content online, and he told me the State Department was aware of his arrest in May. And we learned last night through a series of tweets prison, and he was now on a motorcycle with a broken rib trying to flee to the Hungarian border. And so I'm wondering, you know, if this is true, given the State Department knew of his arrest and his detention, how has this been allowed to occur? We have a U.S. citizen being detained and perhaps tortured in the prison of one of our strongest allies.
Well, you lost me with the perhaps, and if this is true, I think I'd want to verify those reports before I comment.
So, Mr. Lira specifically stated in one of his videos that he had connected with the State Department 3 times last year. So it's kind of strange that there wasn't a whole lot of information regarding his case that was published last year. So this third video is a video that is specifically connected to a rally in Washington, D.C. That was organized by various pro-Ukrainian organizations. It's also supported by the Ukrainian embassy in Washington, D.C. And they basically spoke about, you know, the pre-existing condition in Ukraine, you know, regarding the war. And there was a special message from Mr. Zelensky to the supporters that attended this rally in Washington, D.C. in front of the Lincoln Memorial. So let me play that video to you.
From March 24th in downtowns of Europe cities, all as one together who want to stop the war.
So he was rallying, Mr. Zelensky rallying his supporters in Washington, D.C. and in European countries and capitals, as well as other countries, to help stop the war, right? So Mr. Gonzalo Lira specifically spoke about ending the war. And that one particular video was made in 2022. Okay, before all these, mass problems and mass, escalation of the war took place. So back then, Mr. Gonzalo Lira was already, he was already interested in finding a peaceful diplomatic solution to this case, to this whole situation between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so there's quite a bit of stuff that's been happening that is just not, shared within the regular national media. In America, we're not being told exactly what we need to learn about, and unfortunately, had we we ended up losing an American citizen, a journalist, former journalist, and someone who genuinely wanted to contribute to the escalation of this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And this another video that I'm going to be sharing with you is actual video that was made back again in 2022, where they had a rally, pro-Ukrainian rally in front of the White House in Washington, D.C. And a former parliamentarian showed up and basically spoke about her views and the issues that they're having to deal with in Ukraine. So unfortunately, I didn't get the name of this parliamentarian, but you can at least listen to the message here, right?
So this is not about the war anymore. This is about the execution of Ukrainians that the world is watching 24/7 on their TV.
So this is in 2022. When Mr. Gonzalo Lira spoke on the war situation back in 2022, he specifically said, there's going to be a lot of people that will be killed off or will perish because of this war. He wanted, the war back then to end. He wanted to de-escalate the situation. Okay, and this parliamentarian actually came up to Washington, D.C. and said, many Ukrainians were becoming casualties of war. Okay. It's terrible. It's extremely unheard of, and I don't understand why the national media failed to share Mr. Gonzalez Lira's message with the American public, or even with the world community. Okay, folks, just baffling to me. Okay, so let's listen to more.
And unfortunately, we have a lot of support from ordinary people. We have a lot of support from Americans. We have a lot of support from people all over the world, but not their governments. They keep telling us.
Okay, so she said that there isn't any support from the governments of the countries. With that said, this was a video of Mr. Zelensky's address to the U.S. Congress, which he was invited to address and make his case. So that parliamentarian herself said that there wasn't a whole lot of support from the government. It seems to me that the government's been in touch with the Ukrainian government, specifically Mr. Zelensky's office, and eventually, invited him to come address, both sides of the aisle, the Democrats and the Republicans. So there's quite a bit of disjointed material that is unfortunately being shared on the national news and relevant and factual information are being silenced. And luckily, the social media platform today is countering that. You know, in the past, there was no way to counterbalance and provide a fair assessment of what's truly happening around the world. And the social media platform is now that medium that's providing that balance to the world, to giving us the raw information that we can base our decision on, be able to render quality solutions to pre-existing conditions and problems throughout the world, maybe in business or government. Okay, folks, let's have a listen to what Mr. Zelensky's got to say in front of all these decision makers. Let me start off here.
For me, all this for our great people. Thank you so much. Dear Americans, in all states, cities, and communities, all those who value freedom and justice, who cherish it as strongly as we Ukrainians, in all our cities, in each and every family. I hope my words of respect and gratitude resonate in each American heart. Madam Vice President.
Okay, so he expressed his gratitude and he expressed his thanks to each and every American when he addressed Congress. Okay, folks, last year. And so if going back to what the former Ukrainian parliamentarian had said during the rally in front of the White House, that there wasn't a whole lot of support from the US government or from any high-level decision makers in our government. And clearly being invited to address Congress, both the Senate, both parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, clearly shows that Ukraine was given the benefit of the doubt to basically make their case. And so we Americans have, reflect on his message, and we're banking on those messages, thinking that he's genuinely interested in preserving the democracy and truly thanking our endeavors to help him. But listen to this again.
All this for our great people. Thank you so much. Dear Americans, in all states, cities, and communities, all those who value freedom and justice, who cherish it as strongly as we Ukrainians, in all our cities, in each and every family. I hope my words of respect and gratitude resonate in each American heart. Madam.
So respect and gratitude to resonate in each American heart, okay, was his opening speech message. To both House and Congress, to those both the Republican and Democratic decision makers in Washington, D.C.
We can't have a secret.
Here's what he had just said recently on one of his interviews on Channel 4. and let me give you guys the contents of this interview. The interviewer were asking him if he believes that the decision makers in the US are government officials, um, are, basically, you know, honoring their commitment and their pledge to help Ukraine. This is after they've received billions and billions of US tax aid to Ukraine as well as weapons, right? So we've been supporting Ukraine since 2022 at the onset of this war. I'm a former politician. Okay. The reason I decided to run for office for the US Senate is because I wanted to contribute to my country and I wanted to contribute to the world. I want to help people that are our friends overseas. Okay. But please listen to what he had said in this interview that just took place a few weeks ago.
With our people, how to stop the war?
Apart from Donald Trump, there are many Republicans, again, also facing election in Washington.
So again, I run for office as an independent candidate, U.S. Senate candidate. So not trying to endorse any political party. I'm just giving you guys, the opportunity to understand where I'm coming from regarding this interview, for in the name of full transparency. Okay.
Washington, who are now saying, Ukrainian money, not so fast. And I know you spoke to them just a few weeks ago. You were in Washington. You were very persuasive. And even after that, they said, stop for now. Does that worry you?
I'm worried only because our people and our budget, we have a gap, financial gap because of the war. And I'm not worrying about with all respect, about the congressmen or senators. I mean, that I had meeting with them. When I sit with them, in any case, bilaterally, we have dialogue tete-a-tete or team, mostly, 99.9%, they are on my side. It's, yes. And
to your face.
To my face.
You trust them? Do you think that they are, nice to your face and they say we support you and then behind your back?
I trust results. Before this, we couldn't really survive without US help. US help. It's real fact. And that's why, of course, I trust, mostly I trust. And I count on them today. Yeah, it's true.
So again, we've given Ukraine billions and billions of US tax dollars. Okay, this interview was done 10 days ago. And I'm hearing that there's quite a bit of, disingenuous sentiments coming out from this individual. If you've received billions and billions of US tax dollars, all right, there are Americans that are making minimum wage. There are Americans that are homeless. There are Americans that can barely survive, the week because they have no access to food. They don't have access to, shelter. There's so many needs that Americans that are also taxpayers, need in order to survive. And those funds were sent to Ukraine because Mr. Zelensky decided to engage on a war that he knows he couldn't win without the help of America and without the help of any other countries. All right. So going back to what Mr. Gonzalo Lear had mentioned, he said that in his YouTube video, based on his review and assessment, okay, that Ukraine does not have the wherewithal, the overall capacity to engage. Okay. And that video was seen worldwide. and by thousands and thousands of people. And now, 2 years into this war, and this video was made 10 days ago, right? Okay. And then let's do another assessment on Mr. Zelensky's performance at the United Nations. I apologize. It's taking a minute here to load up the video. I've lined these videos up to help you connect the dots, right? So just stay with me, and once the video's up and running, I'll unmute the video. All right, so let's see. Let me set this up. And this is Mr. Zelensky's message to the European Union during his speech last year at the United Nations General Assembly. Okay, and this. I apologize to whoever's watching this on YouTube, because you're basically getting inundated with so much, marketing material from these channels. But I just wanted to, give you guys factual information that are basically coming from the author of these messages. So here we go. Let me run this video.
It's alarming to see how some in Europe, some our friends in Europe, play out solidarity in political theater, making thriller from the grave. And they may seem to play their own role, but in fact, they are helping set the stage to a Moscow actor. Second,
so he just claimed in this video that the European Union, or maybe European countries, are setting up the stage to support Russia. When the European Union have brought in a lot of refugees from Ukraine, one, their European Union also are providing for these refugees too. And the European Union and many European countries are also housing and providing tons of aid, billions of euros worth of aid to go to Ukraine. May it be military weapons or overall humanitarian aid and funds. All right. So this last one, it's not the last, but it's close to the last video. I apologize. This might take longer than I thought, but I just want you guys to have a clear view of what's truly happening. Okay. So this guy, Mr. Let me find his name here on my notes. Tom Fuentes. He's a former FBI assistant director. Got on a TV news organization for an interview, and this is what he had to say.
The U.S. Begins then and under Joe Biden's presidency, sending more than $100 billion in aid to the Ukraine. Now, the U.S. becomes aware that initially we send cash to fund their government, the payroll, the retirement plans, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then all of a sudden we learn that most of the members of Zelensky's cabinet, including him, are embezzling money from those payments. And it results in Zelensky building a luxury house in Miami, Florida, more houses in Cyprus, Venice, Italy, other places, and many members of his cabinet. That level of embezzlement got to be so high that last year, the head of the CIA went there to try to tell them, stop stealing so much money from the aid money we're giving you.
So, all right, folks, going back to what we were told, in America by national news, maybe, people in our government or whatever. some of our decision makers, some of our politicians, basically created a narrative that is somewhat compelling at the onset of the war, because here there's a country that's been occupied by, a bigger, more powerful country, and we as Americans definitely don't like that. We don't support hostile takeovers. We don't, support land grabbing. We don't support anything that is unjustifiably wrong, in the narrative of war. Why would a war be necessary? What are the conditions that would precipitate a war? But they never really told us that, first of all, Russia was trying to protect their citizens and their territory. Okay, we didn't know this up until Gonzalo Lira told us that, the Russians were trying to protect their territories and their citizens within the territories, and those were already available, right? I mean, in terms of public information, these are all, everything that I'm telling you guys, they're all available online. They're on social media and they're on various news agencies' YouTube channel. So these are not information that you can't access. They're all on, social media. Luckily, we have social media today so that we as citizens of America and the citizens of the world and the citizens of those people that want to preserve peace, want to preserve democracy, want to preserve the rule of law, that want to preserve, freedom of speech, now have these materials at our disposal so that we can review and make a solid or optimum decision on. Okay. I'm almost done. I mean, this is basically, I think that's the last video that I'm going to show you. There's a few more videos that I guess I managed to fish out of, the internet on YouTube and other social media platforms. But I just want to, end this whole evaluation and review with what I've come across that is so disturbing, which is the testimony of Mr. Gonzalo Lira's father, saying that when I guess Maria, I think this is the partner or the wife of Mr. Gonzalo Lira, who has 2 children, okay, went to the Ukrainian authorities and tried to recover his body. She was told that that Gonzalo was cremated or is in the process of being cremated, without asking the family, without asking the wife, who is a Ukrainian lady, and they didn't ask her, what she would wish for her husband, or if she wants to get, say goodbye, or the children wants to say goodbye to their father, or Gonzalo Lira's family to say goodbye to their son or brother. None of that was afforded to them. Strange. When, I thought we're supporting democracy in Ukraine. I thought we're supporting, a credible democratic government that wants to preserve, democracy. This is unbelievable, folks. I'm an American citizen, okay? But I'm not just thinking about just Americans. Anyone who's been treated the way that Gonzalo Lira has been treated deserves justice. Okay, folks. I don't care what he's done in his past. I know there's some people that try to dog him for things he's done when he was in his 20s or early 30s, whatever. You know what? Those who have not sinned, cast the first stone. We're all, we're all, flawed people, and for the Gonzalo family to not only lose their son publicly, because every testimony that Gonzalo shared on his social media platform, they got to see those things. Imagine seeing your loved one in that condition. Imagine seeing your son in that condition, your husband, your father. Gonzalo Lira's children's going to see, this video of their father being falsely imprisoned and eventually dying after he's requested assistance from his own government and from the world community and from European countries. Nothing was done. He was basically killed off. I mean, and the world got to see it online. It's on social media. The whole trajectory, the timeline, the events, the testimonies, the campaigns to help preserve Gonzalo Lira's lives were all ignored. So I'm gonna show you guys this last video. And this was done, I believe, somewhere.
Журналиста Гонсало Лиру, который рассказывал правду о преступлениях киевского режима, долго пытались.
This was covered by, I believe, either Ukrainian or Russian. I'm not really sure the news, organization. But I'm guessing this is somewhat associated to the Slavic audience, and it's specifically, for the Slavic-speaking audience. And so they're not even, looking to sugarcoat things, but I want you guys to listen or at least review some of the testimonies that are being shared here, because I don't know if this is shared in the US media with CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. I don't know if it's available there, but have a listen real quick.
В украинской тюрьме перед тем, как он скончался. Новые подробности гибели американского репортера чилийского происхождения сообщил его отец в интервью программе «Антифейк». Также Гонсало Лира, старший, сообщил, что тело его сына отказывается.
So let me pause it here real quick. There's actually, audio where you can hear Gonzalo Lira's father speaking in English. Unfortunately, I don't know what's being said by this news anchor, but just listening to what the father of Gonzalo Lira is saying. Okay.
Отдавать жене, поскольку украинские власти боятся независимого вскрытия.
Когда она приехала туда, это бюрократия, ей сказали примерно следующее, что вы знаете, так много мертвых, его нужно кремировать, мы можем вам отдать только прах. Но Мария хотела получить аутопсию, чтобы тело полностью... Ну, конечно, вы понимаете, любая аутопсия показала...
So the family had requested for an independent autopsy to be done on Mr. Gonzalo Lira's body, but they were told that they will cremate his remains outside of the wishes of the family for some reason. I don't know why they wouldn't just give his remains to, the family. The wife went there and requested for his body to be released to her. And the father himself had requested for an independent autopsy to be done. He's no longer being tried. He's, gone. Okay, his rights have been basically violated time and time again. No one really cared for him. Imagine an individual, imagine a human being, and I apologize for getting on my soapbox on this, because this is really irking me. Well, what's irking me is that, okay, this is a human being we're talking about. I understand people might not like him, people might not respect him, people might have extremely, vulgar sentiments towards him. But the guy's dead. Respect the dude, respect the family's wishes. I mean, what kind of human being would do that to a grieving family? Right? I mean, seriously, folks. I typically don't get, this, all hyped up and I'm trying to contain my emotions because at this point in the game, all Gonzalo Lira did was share his views, reviewed a pre-existing condition in a government situation that he's been exposed to. Okay, that's all he did. Shared it on his social media platform. Imagine if the social media platform did not exist today. I mean, countless lives have been snuffed out ages and years and many years ago because there was no way for the world to reflect on the cases of those people that had perished. Some of them are pretty intelligent people. Some of them are deserve to be listened to. Okay, folks, imagine during World War I and World War II, during all these very evil, nefarious, and corruptive regimes. I mean, look at Iraq, look at the Middle East, look at Africa, look at Asia, look at South America, and all those people that perish trying to expose the truth. Okay, the world would have been significantly different today had we got access to people that want to share the truth. Think about it, folks. What value is it to the world when we're silencing subject matter experts? What value to the world would it be if we're silencing educated people, credible people, people that actually can render, a solution? Who benefits from that? From silencing people that are credible. So going back to Mr. Lira's, video at the very onset of this, podcast, he specifically said that he wanted to escalate the war. He wanted to provide a solution. He wanted to have the Ukrainians and the Russians to come to terms and diplomatically resolve their differences. And now he's dead, and here's the father, and father's just saying, "Can you please just release the body of my son that y'all killed to his family, so that his two children, can say goodbye to their father, and the wife can say goodbye to her husband or partner, whatever, and he can say goodbye to his son, and the sister can say goodbye to her brother, and have an independent autopsy done so that they can figure out what caused the death of their loved one." Okay, I mean, out of respect and out of compassion and out of dignity, give them the freaking body. I seriously don't understand this. I mean, why are they not releasing the body to the family? Okay, unbelievable. All right, let me finish off this testimony from Mr. Gonzalo Lira Sr. And you guys make a decision if we want to support and continue to support people that would disrespect a family wishes to get access to the body of their loved one.
Все пытки, через которые прошел мой бедный сын, это то, что сделали на Украине. Это ужасная страна. Его пытали 8 месяцев и 11 дней. Вы даже не представляете, как мне больно знать о том, что последние 8 месяцев случилось со мной, с моим сыном. Этот ублюдок, Зеленский, этот подонок, диктатор, уничтожил свою собственную страну. А Байден поддержал этого урода, который убил моего сына. 70 тысяч долларов.
Интервью с отцом погибшего на Украине журналиста.
So this interview was in their language. They weren't trying to sway, the English-speaking public, regardless of what we believe in. All they want to say is basically, here's a grieving family, and the father have been watching his son suffer for the last couple of months. He specifically said he's been, um, dealing with so much anguish and grief for the last 8 months, watching his son suffer. I simply do not understand, the reasoning behind, why they've decided not to honor the wishes of Mr. Gonzalez Lira's family. With that said, folks, America, listen up. Please contact your elected officials today. Okay. Do not, stand for these kinds of, atrocities towards people that wants to make this world a better place. Because if we ignore these kind of stuff, if we look the other way, we're going to be at the front end of dealing with evil head on. We don't want to live in a world that would snuff out the life of someone who wants to make a positive difference in this world. Okay. We definitely don't want a society and a world where, human dignity is ignored. Okay. And false imprisonment and all sorts of garbage is imposed on someone that simply wants to save lives and preserve peace and democracy and accelerate people's opportunities to speak their minds, via freedom of speech. So with that said, folks, thank you so much for giving me a chance to provoke your thoughts and share these views, sentiments, and testimonies from the source. I'm just here to give them a platform, okay, folks, because I believe that the social media environment could be a tool for peace, prosperity, and, increase our capacity as human beings to accelerate freedom and democracy worldwide. We also can use the social media platform in economic development. Okay, folks, if we use it the way it's intended to be and in what it's supposed to be, okay, we've never lived in a world where these kinds of tools were available. It's up to us which direction we're going to be taking, and it's up to us who it is that we are going to be valuing and who it is that we're going to be listening to and who it is that we're going to support. Now, I was running for office as a former U.S. Senate candidate. No, I didn't get a whole lot of support. I mean, the national news and even local news in the state of Virginia, they didn't even listen to my narrative. They didn't even cover my campaign. Given that majority of my supporters were the marginalized, the voiceless, powerless, and often underrepresented or not even represented at all. But that's okay. I've come to terms with that. It just, to me, when I come across cases like Mr. Gonzalo Lira's, I think we can do better as people and humans. Thank you so much, folks, again, for giving me the opportunity to share these materials with you. I'm going to sign off here now, and please let me know if you have thoughts, any suggestions, or concerns regarding what I shared. Again, these are readily available information online, so you can do your own research yourself. And let's respect, the family of the deceased, I send my sincere condolences to the Lira family and those who suffered, especially his children and his, wife. Uh, it's unfortunate that they had to see their loved one in such a condition, and this is, a tragedy that basically was featured on social media. The evolution of this whole tragedy transpired on social media because of what he shared, in spite of what's already readily available. Imagine the lives that could have been saved had the war been excuse me, the escalated. Okay, folks, imagine the collateral damages that could have been prevented had the war ended, back in 2022. Okay, folks, thank you for your time. I wish you guys, the very best new year ahead. Please share and like us and subscribe if you feel compelled to, support us. Thank you so much. Take care.